Okay. Show number 206. Caw, caw, caw.
Oh, I got my fork ready. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna have to eat some crow, then I'm gonna eat it and I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean, apparently somebody's going to be eating crow after tonight. That remains to be seen. I wonder if anybody will tune in to watch the crowing, the eating
Well,
of the crow.
you know, somebody's gonna tune in and they're gonna they want to see us eat the crow, but like you said, I don't think it's gonna be us eating the crow tonight.
Well,
But we'll
you
let
never know. We're amateurs. I mean, we could get things wrong from time to time.
we'll let all the viewers be the judge in who, if anybody, is to eat crow tonight.
Yeah. Well, look, we have some fellow crow eaters watching now. Charlie and Judy East says we are watching. Hello, Ricky Bridges. Jessica Langley Maddox says hello.
Yeah, good deal. So, what is on the complete agenda for tonight? Because we're going to need to make sure that some folks north of Bossier City are tuned in and get the notification because of the subject matter it really applies to all of Northwest Louisiana, but primarily some communities north of Bossier.
Well, we're going to talk about Teal Jones, and then Teal Jones, and Teal Jones, and, well, Teal Jones.
But what about Teal Jones, Louisiana?
Well, did you know that because of the research that I did, I learned a new geography location on a map today that honestly I didn't know was there.
Oh, so you're catching up to the fact that the new sawmill is technically not in Plain Dealing.
That is correct. I was not aware of that, but hey, you learn something new every day. Looks like I might need to get my fork or my spoon or, well, heck, maybe my chopsticks out.
Well, I didn't want to confuse nobody, and I did pick up on it, but I go up there all the time, so people from Plain Dealing they'll get a kick out of this. If you're not from Plain Dealing, you might be confused.
All
Anyway,
right. Let's see. What you say we go ahead and go ahead to the go ahead, and if I can just keep repeating myself, how about we do the countdown and get started with that, and when we come back, we'll talk about, well, Teal Jones and the sawmill and eating crow and all that sort of thing, and
let's do
whatever
it.
else we think about. All right, here we go. We will be back in about 3.5 minutes. Folks, y'all know the drill. Get your popcorn and a drink. Y'all are definitely going to watch tonight's show because we are going to show some information that has not yet been revealed. Again, pretty much breaking the story. And anyway, that's it. So tag some friends and share it out. We'll be back in a few minutes.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist, and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse.
No way.
Okay,
It was not
okay.
David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't
Okay.
going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't
Okay.
going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing. Folks, Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being Earl Coleman and associated groups and all, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are like seeing us sitting here talking,
Well,
chatting?
in theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back again.
Back at it again. Well, man, I'm going down through some of these lists of people to try to get on here to pay attention to this. I mean, I forgot some communities even had Facebook pages out there.
There's a lot of Facebook pages and groups and all sorts of things, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm literally changing our notes on the fly.
Oh, did we get some hot new information?
Not really. I'm just making sure all my T's are crossed and all my I's are proverbially dotted.
I gotcha. Well, speaking of dotting I's and crossing T's, so why is it that we potentially are going to have to eat crow? And is it going to be cooked or is it going to be raw?
Well, I don't know. I had never eaten raw crow, although I must admit I have cooked a few crows to eat them just to see what it tasted like. I don't know. David Bond says it's best enjoyed when someone other than you is eating it. I don't know. Should we pluck the feathers off the crow first? Or shall we fry it? How shall we do this?
Well, a lot of people, they may or may not know what the heck we're talking about. They probably don't even have a clue, but we did. It's only the second breaking news show that I think we've ever done, and we did that last week.
Yeah, we did. As a matter of fact, use the ultra cool breaking news graphic deal and all that. And what we broke was the story of the Teal Jones Group, Teal Jones Company, whatever, filing for bankruptcy, basically, in Canada. And then they did a Chapter 15 filing in the state of Delaware. And basically, my understanding is what Chapter 15 filing is, it's allowed for companies that do multinational business, and it's a way for the courts here to recognize the Canadian bankruptcy filing. I guess that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, and so for some people who, they may not have watched our show or they may live under a rock and they're tuning in for the first time, you're probably saying, Teal Jones, Who the heck is that? Why do I care? What significance is that to me in my life? Well, I mean, primarily your tax dollars went to help fund a sawmill that went in proximal to plain dealing.
Right. We'll talk about that in a minute, but yes.
Proximal to plain dealing, and it was a monetary investment of somewhere to the tune of $110 million, more or less. I think this falls under the classification of government funded economic development. I think that would be correct.
Yeah. And, well, I hate to say it, at least temporarily, has turned into a potential economic disaster. But I want to be clear that I think I can speak for both of us here is that, by us reporting this and revealing it, it's not that we want the sawmill up there to fail. I mean, that's a lot of potential jobs and all that for plain dealing and Bossier Parish and the surrounding areas and all that sort of thing. But it does have a political tie-in because it was a big deal. I mean, they even had hard hats made into cowboy hats when they did the ribbon cutting and all that. I mean, it's a big deal when they have the cowboy-shaped hard hats.
Yeah, and really and truly, we were going to come back this show anyway, and we were actually going to talk about Teal Jones, the company, because from all accounts that I can tell, they are a good company. They're
Yeah.
actually good people, and the we'll get into the story or the message that was released publicly about why things have happened. You know, I, bull crap. The price of lumber. Have you been to Home Depot and you're telling me the
No.
price of lumber? I
All
mean,
right.
bull
So,
crap.
yeah, and a lot of people have mentioned that fact. Now, I don't know. After reading the bankruptcy filing, which, yes, I did read the bankruptcy filing, and yes, we're about to show it on the show here in just a few minutes. So, that's for you folks out there that are watching the show but don't want to be seen. You might want to text some other people and let them know we're actually going to show the bankruptcy filing. But a lot of people have mentioned the high lumber prices. And I think lumber prices have relaxed some. I think they were even worse, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But that's on the retail side. I really don't know because I don't follow that sort of thing enough. Maybe the lumber prices are much lower on the wholesale or the manufacturer's side of it. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. When you read the bankruptcy filing, I mean they put forward a pretty good case as to why they need the bankruptcy protection. It's basically, I hate to say it, to get their 807 listed creditors off their rear end. That's right, 807. I think that's correct. We'll find out in a minute.
Now, since you said the 807 creditors, I did go through all of those creditors, and because they were listed in there with state and where they were from. Fortunately, I didn't see any from right here locally or any from Louisiana. I didn't see any.
Well, there
I
were a
may
couple. There were a couple from Louisiana, but I didn't notice any right off the bat that were local. Energy was listed. The Shelley or McKelly, the scale company, weights and measures company was listed, and one other one. But I didn't notice any local stuff, so that is a good thing. But why don't we go ahead and dive into it? So let's talk about the media spin first. I mean, why are we even having a show that we titled Eating Crow? Why is that?
Well, I think it's because we broke a story that no one else, no other media, anybody had reported on, talked about. I mean, none of the mainstream media. And, we basically said that the company was filing bankruptcy. And, we hypothesized about what does that mean to our community? Does it mean that this thing is a dud right off? We even suggested, well, the people who are making the decisions on behalf of all of us with our taxpayer dollars are they vetting these people that they go into business with? Or maybe they are, and maybe this is the result that they wanted. Maybe they're silent partners that are interested in the other half. I think that was something else that we said. Maybe they're going to buy it, maybe they're not.
Right.
Um,
Well, and as
you
we're
know,
going to see once we get towards the end of the show, you might be onto something with that theory, Mr. Lowry, which I do believe you did mention last show. So let's get started with the what I'm calling the media spin on it. And we're going to start out with a screenshot from the Plain Dealing Talk Facebook group, which I should note is a private group. Now, both you and I are in it, and they'll pretty much let, anybody from the Bossier Parish area in, I suppose. So it's not like it's top secret private, but by private, that means that you can't really see what's going on in there unless you're a member. And so it's kind of interesting to note that because our good friend, Lisa Friday Johnson, shared this plain dealing Sawmill statement from Brian Feitz of the Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC company. She shared that in this plain dealing group. Now, we all know that Lisa Friday Johnson is, I think her official title is president of the Chamber of Commerce. Would that be correct, Duke?
I believe it is.
And we like Lisa Friday Johnson. She's going to bungee jump with us eventually off the Jimmy Davis Bridge. So this is no slight to her. I mean, she's just putting the best spin on this. But notice I highlighted in this screenshot, it says, and I quote, "The filing does not include the U.S.-based Teal Jones Sawmill in Plain Dealing, Louisiana." I'm going to repeat that. The filing does not include the U.S.-based Teal Jones Sawmill in Plain Dealing, Louisiana. Teal Jones, and I guess technically they're correct because it's not actually in Plain Dealing. Teal Jones Group does not own a direct equity interest in the Plain Dealing Sawmill, which is owned and operated by Teal Jones Plain Dealing, LLC. Teal Jones Plain Dealing, LLC is owned by a holding company that is owned by a Teal Jones Group affiliate and local investors. And so it goes on to say the Teal Jones Plain Dealing has confirmed that the Plain Dealing Sawmill is fully funded and in possession of all funds needed to complete construction and operate the sawmill. None of these funds, this is important too, I didn't highlight this, none of these funds are subject to the CCAA proceedings of the Teal Jones Group. And CCAA stands for Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, which is basically, I guess, the equivalent of the Canadian Bankruptcy Act. Now, that's important. Now, that may be true. Maybe it all is fully funded. Maybe all that is paid for.
Well, you're just going to have to stop for a second. But something dawned on me when you were reading all this, these different 100 ways to say the same freaking company. You made me think of something.
What would that be?
Did one of the city attorneys for Bossier City write that, or did one of the judges up in Benton write that for Lisa?
Well,
or for this
that's
guy?
a good question.
Lisa's just sharing this, so I mean, this is some crap that you'd hear from them.
Yeah, it's a bunch of word salad here. And look, I understand it. I mean, they're trying to put the best face forward. And again, like we said, we hope that they, pull through the bankruptcy and they're able to get some protection from the creditors and get their feet back on the ground and take off running again. I mean, that ultimately is the goal.
Yeah.
Filing for bankruptcy is not always the end of the world for a company. But there's much more to this, as you're going to continue to see, folks. So bear with me on the kind of bouncing ping pong ball as we go through this. So key points here are Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC and a holding company that is owned by a Teal Jones Group affiliate and local investors. And they also mention, the stuff about Wells Fargo being the lead lender and, blah, blah, blah. And they're hoping to commence operations in the summer of 2024 and will be fully operational in the fall of 2024. Hopefully so, because as we covered last show, it's a $110 million facility. 235 acres of development, and up to 120 direct construction jobs, 125 new direct jobs at the mill, and annual salaries of about $47,000 plus benefits. So, pretty big deal, especially for plain deal. All right, so any questions so far, Mr. Lowry? We reported the bankruptcy. Lisa's gone out there and done the positive spin with the statement from Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC.
Now, well, here's the thing. I don't think Lisa wrote this. I
No,
think
she
this
didn't.
was the Teal Jones people. They wrote and released this, and Lisa pushed it out there. And I think it was to counter our reporting on the fact that Teal Jones was filing bankruptcy, or either to
Yes.
suggest that plain dealing or our deal here locally has absolutely nothing to do with it. So, is that
Yes.
where it all ended?
Oh, no, it didn't end there because, of course, some other folks picked up on it. KTBS picked up on the same press release from the Plain Dealing Teal Jones group. And again, I highlighted the fact that it says, well, just lost my mouse. Hold on just a second. The fact that this filing does not include the U.S.-based Teal Jones Sawmill in plain dealing. And again, I'll note that I guess technically that's correct since it's not actually in plain dealing. So, maybe we can give them a pass on that.
Well, maybe that's what they meant.
And again, I highlighted also, which is just parroting what I've already said, that Teal Jones Group does not own an equity interest in the plain dealing sawmill, which is owned and operated, blah, 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 blah. So again, KTBS is just, regurgitating the press release. All right. Now, I do want to make a little interesting note or point out something here. Notice up at the top of the screen, the title of this article, Teal Jones, bankruptcy won't affect new plain dealing sawmill. So when you read that from a grammar standpoint, KTBS is making sure to emphasize the fact that this is according to Teal Jones, and they say so in their article. Okay? Well, why is that important? Well, I don't know. It may just be my conspiracy theory hat, but KTBS also still has this basically placeholder article. There's no content in the article, just the surrounding ads now. And the title of it is Plain Dealing Sawmill Not Impacted by Teal Jones Bankruptcy. So there's been a little switcheroo of the titles of the article to emphasize the fact that Teal Jones is saying that it won't be impacted, rather than the way they first portrayed it, which is basically, that the plain dealing sawmill is not going to be impacted.
And I would point out too that after our show, when we reported that, the next day they had an article, and the article changed a little bit too.
Yes, it did. So, just to point that out, this is all still live, or as it was as of an hour ago, on the KTBS site. All right. And even our good friend Philip Rogers got in on the game because, of course, the Bossier Parish Police Jury shared out the same update, which, of course, Philip Rogers and I'm sure all the other political dignitaries around here promptly followed suit to share it out again. They're trying to put the best face forward. They're trying to put the lipstick on the pig.
So do you think, Rex, and for all of y'all watching, do you think that they were, they had this piece that, oh, our reporting was so wrong. KTBS, they got cold feet. They backed out of it because we were wrong. And so since they made that press release and everybody got on board to share it, I mean, is it to try to make us go ahead and eat our crow? I got my fork ready. Do we need to eat our crow now?
Well, you might better get ready to have a few feathers in your mouth. I don't know. We'll see, because maybe we didn't get it right. I don't know. But following this
But
bouncing ball here, I mean, this press release is pretty convincing from Teal Jones. I mean, they said it's fully funded. Maybe it is. They said it wasn't the Sawmill in plain dealing. Technically, that's correct.
and that none of the Louisiana stuff was involved in the bankruptcy. That's what they said, right?
Right. So now we're going to enter the little deal of following the bouncing ball, or the shell game, as we may want to call it. So I pulled up the Louisiana Secretary of State's site, did a search for Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC. Previous name of this was Project Rural Renaissance LLC. It was changed in 2021 to Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC. And oh, look, who is listed as one of the officers of the Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC. I'm going to put the little pointer right down there.
Oh, I can't read it. I can't see it. It's blurry. You may be going to have to read it out loud.
Well, it says one of the officers is Teal Jones Louisiana Holdings LLC. So another LLC is an officer of this LLC, and that LLC, stay with me folks, is located in none other than Surrey, British Columbia, up there in Canada.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? Okay, so even more interesting is the fact that if we look up Teal Jones Louisiana Holdings LLC, and we go down and we look at the officers listed for that, it's Teal Jones Lumber Services, Inc., who is a member of the LLC, managing member, and they're in, I guess it's Suman, Washington. Teal Jones Lumber Services, Inc. So I hate to ask y'all to do it, but just kind of remember all these names that we're going through here, right? But no, they're not a part of the bankruptcy, right?
All right.
Okay.
Or at least that's what they said. So I mean, I'm ready. I'm for it. I mean,
well,
I'm ready.
Let's take a look at the
feathers and all.
Let's look at the Pacer listing for this. This is the Teal Jones Holdings Limited and Teal Jones Louisiana Holdings LLC case listing on the Pacer website. This is publicly available. This isn't behind their, the Pacer paywall. You take a look at these names that I've highlighted. Teal Jones Lumber Services, Inc. Oh, didn't we just mention that name?
We just talked about that, didn't we?
We just talked about that, but they're not part of this bankruptcy. It must be wrong. The Pacer website is wrong.
Yeah, we're talking about plain dealing here.
Yeah. Teal Jones Louisiana Holdings LLC is also listed, but surely that must be incorrect. I mean, it just can't be right because the press release said there's basically no connection.
It's not a part of the bankruptcy, but yet there's those names of those two companies right there in the filing.
Right. I'm not making this up. It's still there as of right now. You can go to Pacer, look up case number. I think it's 1:24-BK-10890. All right. So, well, that's the Chapter 15 Delaware deal. So maybe, just maybe, that's not really what's in the filing. I mean, maybe that's the case, right, Mr. Lowry?
Well, I don't know. I'm wondering what y'all think. Does me and Rex have to be eating some crow here? We just showed you the names of the companies that they said are not a part of this filing, yet the names for are right there in the filing. I mean, what am I missing?
Wes Marriott says, I thought it was very interesting that there was no coverage of the Teal Jones bankruptcy at all in the major media until Bossier Watch started talking about it. Thank you, Wes, for, giving us a little kudos there. Paul Johnson says it has a Cylindra smell to it. Well, shall we go ahead and move on to the bankruptcy filing, because I actually have a copy of that. We got a copy of that, Mr. Lowry.
I think we've got to go to that, and I think we got to show a little bit more because I don't know if we've cooked the crow well enough yet for somebody to eat.
Well, it is still basting. So let me make sure I follow my notes here correctly. So this is the actual petition, the bankruptcy petition. You can see it stamped up there in the upper left corner of the document. Supreme Court of British Columbia, Vancouver Registry, April the 24th of 2024. There have been no modifications to this document other than I've got some things highlighted. But I'm also going to post this on our Facebook page when the show is over, as well as the link where you can go see the original source document yourself if you don't really believe us.
Oh, so we're just going to make it easy for the mainstream media to come back and say, "Hey, yeah, it is included in the bankruptcy."
Is your back getting sore with that saddle on it there, Mr. Lowry?
Well, it's okay, but my fork is killing me here. I mean, it's just dying to dig in if I've got to dig in, but so far I'm not. I'm thinking I'm not going to be digging in. I think somebody's going to need to borrow this fork.
I don't know. So you can see here, the first couple of pages. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the important part. So the important part is starting on pages 3 and 4. Paul Black says, y'all are quite the sleuths. Hey, we're almost like the Hardy Boys. Did you ever read the Hardy Boys when you were a kid?
I did not. I was too busy fighting with my cousins in the horse tank.
I read the Hardy Boys. Love the Hardy Boys. All right. So remember those names that we mentioned just a few minutes ago. All right. Well, I'm on page 3 of this document. And the petitioners are listed, among other things. Number 4 here, the petitioner, Teal Jones Lumber Services, Inc., is a corporation incorporated pursuant to the laws of Washington. Oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it, Mr. Lowry?
Why, yes. I think Teal Jones Lumber Services was an officer of Teal Jones Holdings, LLC, if I recall correctly.
And looky here, it's down towards the bottom, so maybe a little difficult to see. I'll put the pointer right there and point to it. But number 8, another petitioner, is Teal Jones Louisiana Holdings, LLC, otherwise known as TJ Louisiana. And it's an LLC incorporated or formed pursuant to the laws of the state of Louisiana. What are the chances of these names being in this petition?
I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I remember that name was on Teal Jones Plain Dealing LLC. I mean, that name was there.
All right. Well, let's look up here at the top of page 4. Let me put the pointer up here to point this out for everybody. It says the petitioner, Teal Jones Lumber LLC, and collectively with Holdings USA, Lumber Services, Dry Kilns, Lumber Sales, Pine Products, TJ Louisiana. Those are the U.S. petitioners right there. All right. So again, just reinforcing the fact that, well, these dots actually are connected, right? And it goes on down the list, some stats about the company. Teal Jones products include whitewood lumber, blah, blah, blah. This is all stuff that, they're currently manufacturing. I don't think they're actually manufacturing anything yet in plain dealing. Says in 2023, the petitioners produced over 529.6 million board feet, blah, 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 blah. All right. So let me see here. I think I need to jump to pages 6 and 7.
Pages 6 and 7. Yep, that is where you need to go because something tells me that all this talk about plain dealing is just rubbish.
Well, again, technically, it's not in plain dealing. We're going to reveal, you heard it here first, the actual location of that dang sawmill. It is north of Bossier and is north of Benton, by the way. All right.
And it is south of plain dealing.
And south of plain dealing. So, U.S. operations. Teal Jones owns and operates 5 sawmills in the United States. I'm going to repeat that again. What does their bankruptcy filing say? Teal Jones operates and owns 5 sawmills in the United States. You want to guess where one of those 5 is located, Mr. Lowry?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, that would be a good guess. Unfortunately, it would be wrong. According to the bankruptcy filing, TJ, Louisiana is a sawmill currently under construction located in Antrim. Did I say that right?
You said it right.
In Antrim, Louisiana, known as, quote, the Louisiana Sawmill. Now, maybe they're building 2 sawmills up there, and we just didn't realize it, and they forgot to go have barbecues and dog and pony shows at this other mystery sawmill. I don't know.
Yeah. So how many people knew that there was a town called Antrim, south of Plain Dealing, north of Benton?
To be honest, I didn't know it till I started reading, dude. And I read that and I thought, oh, wait, we did get it completely wrong. We're going to have to literally eat crow on the show tonight. I was like, they must have sold off the Plain Dealing, and there's another one that they've got somewhere else in Louisiana. But lo and behold, I'm sure you know where it is, Mr. Lowry, but oh, looky here. Antrim is right here just south of Plain Dealing, which would be north of Benton and Bossier City, obviously. Right there on Highway 3, and, well, guess where that sawmill is located?
There used to not be anything there but a bunch of woods.
Yeah. Well, they cleared a bunch of that off before they went bankrupt.
I mean,
All right.
what's the parish going to do? Because like Judy Stewart said, that's where a lot of dogs get dumped out at. I mean,
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right, so let me make sure I keep myself in line here. So they go on and list some other assets and all that, but let's skip over to page 9 because I've got something highlighted here. On page 9, this is showing in the bankruptcy filing the Wells Fargo credit agreement. The Wells Fargo lenders extended several credit facilities to Teal cedar products and lumber sales, including blah, blah, blah. The obligations of the Teal cedar products and lumber sales under the Wells Fargo agreement are guaranteed by, guess who? Shake and Shingle, TJ Group, Aviation LP, Aviation GP, blah, 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 and TJ Louisiana. Collectively, they are the Wells Fargo guarantors. Right here.
How about that?
Right there. Okay. Ashley Bullock says maybe they can use the defunct sawmill as the parish animal shelter. Well, it's not defunct yet. And they might convert it over. That's actually not out of a stretch of imagination, Ashley, and we're going to show you why here in just a few minutes.
Well, there's a lot of them still outside the gate right now waiting to get in. I can tell you that for sure. You drive down through there and anyway, go ahead.
All right, so skip on over here to page 12, and we see a listing of 807 unsecured creditors. Now, unsecured are, the vendors and suppliers that they're purchasing from, etc., to whom they owe an aggregate of $44.45 million. And then they list the categories of the claims, so on and so forth. All right.
I didn't look at all of them. I just went through them, perused through them pretty fast. I saw a lot of, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, ranges like that. So there's a lot of little bitty ones out there, but obviously there's some big ones out there too.
Yeah, there are. So on page 13 here, it says starting in 2023, these are the events leading up to the CCAA filing. Starting in 2023, and of course, this is the Teal Jones spin on it. Starting in 2023 and continuing into the beginning of 2024, there has been an erosion in the lumber markets in North America and globally as lumber prices have significantly dropped since the beginning of 2022. When coupled with inflationary pressures, which increased labor and other input costs and rapidly escalating interest rates, all of that is true. which increased debt service costs. The petitioners have been faced with reduced liquidity in their ongoing operations. And I'm sure all that's true. I mean,
Well,
I don't know
go.
about the lumber prices, but
Well, I want to go back to what we started out at the beginning of this show, and all this crap about, that the lumber market, I mean, the price of lumber, has not went down. I mean, it seems to be the same, at least at the store for the consumer. But, I don't think this is the biggest rub. And I don't know that Teal Jones would say this, but we did a little bit of research. And like I said at the start, we were going to come back and talk about Teal Jones and talk about the fact that they're a good company. They're actually, by all accounts that we can tell, one of the more reputable timber companies around. And when you say reputable, meaning that they have respect in the industry, for uh, being considerate, of the habitat and all that kind of stuff. But the primary thing that I read and learned, Rex, was that what brought them down was environmentalists. In the
really,
Canadian provinces, the environmentalists were suing them left and right to shut them down from harvesting timber in, areas where, I mean, it's just woods. I don't know the areas, but the environmentalists like really went after them.
hmm,
And the Canadian government, we all know it has a left leaning government in Canada now, and the Canadian government has been, I'm just shutting them down. They've been siding with the environmentalists, and
hmm.
so here you've got one of the most environmentally friendly timber companies. They're known for this. They're known to be environmentally friendly anyway. And they're to the point of being shut down up there. So they've been trying to transition, as I understand, transition their timber business into the US to where they won't be at the whims of the environmentalists. So maybe, it's just all catching up with them.
Well, and again, I'll just reiterate that hopefully they'll be able to get a reprieve from their creditors and they'll get everything worked out, get the lending, secured from Wells Fargo or whoever else, and be able to get their operations restarted and continue on going. Because you're right, Duke, from all accounts, it's not like Teal Jones is a fly by night company. That's not what we're saying at all. Our main issue is this ain't being reported in the mainstream media at all, and there is a specific reason for that.
So, so uh, going back to that, the question is where does that leave us here? Is Teal Jones going to be our neighbors here? Is Teal Jones? They said that, hey, the plain dealing thing, the Antrim thing, is fully funded. There's nothing to worry. It's not a part of the what is it? It's not chapter 15. It's not a part of all that. I think we've shown that, well, yeah, there is a connection there. Yeah, the names for these businesses are on those filings. Um, but where does that leave us actually?
Well, it leaves us back to Ashley Bullock's comment. Um, I mean, heck, they might turn it into an animal shelter. You know why, Mr. Lowry?
Do tell.
Well, because unreported until right now, apparently they have been actively trying to sell the Louisiana mill. I've got it highlighted right here and the cute little finger pointing to it for those of you watching the podcast or listening to the podcast version. The alternatives to milestones, the petitioners, on their own initiative, also began exploring other alternatives to assist them with their liquidity concerns, including a sale of certain non essential equipment in Louisiana, and C, that was C, a sale of the Louisiana mill, and a real estate term loan. The petitioner sold several pieces of non-essential equipment in Louisiana on April the 22nd of 2024. Was that reported by any of our local government entities or by any of our local media? Heck, was it even known?
No, wait a minute. How can they sell the equipment? What am I missing here? We're going to have to go back and look in detail about what exactly did the port do for them. I thought the port was like getting them the money to buy all the land and the equipment and stuff. And now they're turning
Well,
around. They were already trying to sell it before they filed bankruptcy.
I don't know. I can only tell you what these documents say, and I haven't dug, and I don't think you have had time either to really dig into uh, whatever agreement and deal they have with the Port Authority, if we could even get access to that information.
Well, I mean, who is the port accountable to? Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Nobody.
Nobody. And look down here, number 69. In March 2024, the petitioners engaged PwC, that's Price Waterhouse Coopers, to solicit bids for the petitioners' 57% interest in the Louisiana Mill, also known as the Louisiana Sale. The initial solicitation has taken place and discussions have begun to take place with interested parties. Might turn it into an animal shelter. Maybe the police jury is bidding on that facility out there.
I'm thinking they can make it a B1 bank branch, make that the headquarters up there in Antrim.
Yeah, it'd be great. They got plenty of land to do it.
And I'm just saying they could put a roundabout right there in the front, and they could put a statue right there in the roundabout up in the front.
Well,
There's
hey,
plenty of room.
I wonder if they wore cowboy hard hats when they had the number of interested parties visiting the site during mid-April, and letters of interest are expected to be received in early May.
I mean, before you know it, they're going to be having an overpass right up in there. They'll start on the south side of Antrim, and it'll end in Plain Dealing. That way they can say it's, in Plain Dealing. Poor Antrim.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Really, just kind of one more little minor point. The anticipated restructuring. Should the initial order be granted, the petitioners intend to address their insolvency through a number of steps, including closing the proposed sales and pursuing a comprehensive refinancing. Blah blah.
Well, I wish there was somebody out there that we could count on that could give us accurate information on all of this. I mean, either it's in the bankruptcy or it's not. And now we're proposing that it has been trying to be being sold by Teal Jones. I'm sure that there will be some folks out there in the community that will say, "Oh, well, that's just not true," but how do they get past these documents? I don't get it. I mean, so
I don't get
for
it
Rex,
either.
should we be eating crow or should somebody else? I'm thinking I'm not having to eat no damn crow.
Well, but wait, Duke, there's more. So give me just a second, and I'm going to get the screen ready here because I don't quite have it how I want. And I'm going to show you, and everybody for that matter, where I got these documents. Do you think it was Proton Mail?
No, I'm thinking like you got on Pacer or something. You pay for an account, you got on there, and you was like
but
screwing around on all that.
We're kind of cheapskates, I mean, we did have a couple of folks kind of step up to the plate a little bit, or at least one sponsor. But we're still being cheapskates here. So heck no, I didn't pay for Pacer. You know what I did?
Good job.
I just did a little bit of Googling and went to Price Waterhouse Coopers website. This is all publicly available. That's right, folks. Neither the news media or anybody else could do just a little bit of Googling to get the actual bankruptcy filing. This is all out there, completely public record. Yes, Ashley Bullock, completely public. I mean, not hidden behind anything at all. As a matter of fact, I'll put the link in the comments right now.
How about that? So
you can go look for yourself after the show.
Somebody said in the comments, why not ask Eric England? I think Eric is too busy trying to figure out how he's going to pump turds from the east to the west or vice versa in South Bossier right now from Bossier City.
Yeah. Very, very, very interesting, Mr. Lowry. All right. Couple of more things to share out just for the heck of it. Let's see here.
You know what this reminds me of? And when we're wrapping up, we'll go to cut one. But go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I just want to show, and again, we'll post all this because it's publicly available. This is a listing of the creditors per the bankruptcy filing. Again, that's all on the PwC website. Paul Black says future site of a YMCA.
That's a good one right there.
That's a good one. Might be. I wonder if Queen David's one of the bidders on the sale of the Sawmill. But anyway, yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit at the beginning. There's a list of creditors right there. I mean, nothing really unusual about this. There's a couple of Louisiana creditors. I think probably the largest one being Energy Corporation. But anyway, they're there also just to show you in case you want it. Again, this is all at the link that I just shared out in the comments, is the contact list filed as part of the bankruptcy proceedings. And so if you got any questions about this, you can email all these people. I'm sure they will be more than happy to share whatever information they can.
Well, cut one, it'll be my only contribution to the cuts of this show. And basically, I ken this cut. I think there's a lot of similarities to our election integrity and to the way, our port and this Sawmill deal is. I mean, our elections are safe.
Sure they are.
You ain't got to worry about nothing. It's safe. See the locks there on the ground?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the locks are right there. I'm putting the little pointer. The locks are right there beside the drop box. I mean, that's safe.
Yeah. There's no way there's nothing wrong with our elections. There is no proof, evidence at all whatsoever. I mean, and it's kind of like, with this bankruptcy deal, there's no way. It's just
really nothing's wrong because Teal Jones said nothing is wrong. The same people that have to put a positive spin on everything. And again, we're not faulting them. That's what they need to do. We're not faulting Lisa Friday Johnson. I mean, she's putting the lipstick on the pig.
That's right.
But we're certainly not the ones eating the crow tonight, people. Not at all.
No, not at all. So y'all can go to the mainstream media and you can get, whatever it is they're going to serve up. But I think they're going to have a lot of crow to serve up tonight.
I wonder if KTBS will be putting out an article tomorrow on the information that we shared today or tonight.
Well,
I wonder if Lisa will share out a press release in the plain dealing group. And to note, she didn't share that out on the chamber Facebook, out on the chamber's Facebook page. She only shared that in the plain dealing group, and then of course the news picked it up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There y'all have it. We put it out there for you. You've got the facts, and what you do with the facts, that's your prerogative. We dug it up. Rex did all the hard lifting on getting this information, and hat tip to you, Rex.
I have a good moment every now and then. Usually you do most of the hard lifting and most of the digging and all that, but this one, yeah, it fell into my lap, so to speak. Actually, I just Googled it.
Oh, good old Google.
Yeah.
Well, that is all I got for tonight. What about you?
I really don't have much more either. It's been kind of a slow night. No city council meeting. Nothing really on the radar right now with the school board or with the police jury. So, yeah, I really don't have much either.
Well, I did understand that the staffing study is back in Bossier, and that apparently there's some meetings with the councilman going on discussing, and trying to haggle or going to decide what they're going to do. I suspect they're going to still drag out the city employees on giving them, any raises. Anyway, a lot of people's kids graduated high school this weekend. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Lots of folks graduating and doing all that. Ashley Bullock says Duke should change his background to the defunct Sawmill Parish Animal Shelter. Yeah, good point. So, yeah, and look, I want it's going to be kind of a short show tonight as we kind of start wrapping it up, but I want to say thank you to everybody that's been paying attention to this and watching the show. As most of you know, Duke and I are trying to get all this stuff with Bossier Watch and a few episodes here and there with Louisiana Watch, as well as sharing content on the outdoor news. We're trying to move more into the media space. So the way that folks can help is really twofold. Well, maybe threefold. You can like and share and, comment. That moves us up in the algorithm. Go to our YouTube page. Subscribe on the YouTube page. I repeat, please subscribe on the YouTube page. And the other way is you can go to our website, bossierwatch.org. There's a donation button. If you feel like you want to donate us a little bit of coffee money, coffee ain't cheap these days because I like community coffee, and Duke, I think you do as well. It's not cheap these days. So if you want to donate a little coffee money to us, I've got a couple of hats for sale. Buy some hats, or heck, for that matter, buy some crawfish from Duke.
Yeah, that's not been a problem lately. Catching enough crawfish.
He is the crawfish king.
And as far as the lifting, I am tired of lifting crawfish bags already this year, but it'll keep getting better.
Yeah, and let's see. Ricky Bridges says, "Hey Rex, need Bistino update for Saturday." I certainly don't have a Bistino update. I hadn't been to Bistino in about almost a year. I did go to Caddo though and caught a grown-up fish yesterday and a couple of others that were fairly decent. So I don't really have a Bistino report, but keep following the outdoor news because we're sharing crawfish and other fun stuff and fishing stuff and doing some shows on the outdoor news, kind of a la Bossier Watch a little bit. And so anyway, follow us on all three channels, Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch, and the outdoor news, and go subscribe to Bossier Watch on YouTube, please.
Hey, and I do have some updated video of Tannerite versus Beaver Dam.
Ooh, we need to get that posted.
I've got another big one, a big one.
Yeah, we need to get that posted. All right. Anything else, Mr. Lauer? Oh, yeah, make sure you go thank Julie and Michael Ferris over at Pelican Training. They've stepped up in a big way to help us out. And, of course, if you need mortgage help over there, that logo up in the corner, Acadiana Mortgage with Duke and Kara. And, like I said, you can follow me with my tech stuff or the outdoor news, which is also some of Duke sharing out. So, anyway, I'm just rambling now, Mr. Lowry.
Thanks, everybody, for watching, and y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next time.
All right. See ya.